Good afternoon. On behalf of St. Norbert College, as well as our colleagues here today from the Medical College of Wisconsin and the president, Dr. John Raymond, and UWGB, Chancellor Tom Hardin, and Belling College, I think Connie Burst might be here, and the Green Bay area hospitals, as well as Mayor Jim Schmidt of Green Bay, Mayor Mike Walsh from here in De Pere, County Executive Troy Streckenbach, and all our special guests and friends. It's a privilege for us to welcome Governor Scott Walker. A son of Wisconsin, Governor Walker attended Marquette University and went on to work at IBM and the American Red Cross before moving into public service. After serving in the state assembly, he was elected in 2002 as Milwaukee County Executive. And in his 8 years in that office, he cut the county's debt by 30%, reduced the workforce, produced 9 straight budgets without increasing the property tax levy, and eventually oversaw a budget surplus. In 2010, he was elected Wisconsin's 45th governor, arriving amid one of the most economically and politically challenging environments in our state's long history. Since that time, he has worked hard to realize his key priorities, putting Wisconsin residents back to work, eliminating a multi-billion-dollar state budget deficit, revitalizing the economy, and streamlining government bureaucracy. And since we're on a college campus, I would be remiss if I didn't thank you, Governor, on behalf of all of us in higher education, for the action you took in your last budget to protect student financial aid, especially the Wisconsin tuition grant. As you know, there are nearly 100,000 fully qualified young people who could be attending St. Norbert College or UWGB, or any of the state's fine colleges and universities and community and technical schools, but far too many of them are unable to come for lack of sufficient financial aid. All of us here today share your belief, Governor, that Wisconsin's colleges and universities lead the nation and even the world in excellence. And like you, we see in our youth the promise of making Wisconsin competitive in the knowledge economy, so we are most anxious to hear what your budget announcement on February 20th will hold for them. So thanks again for that support and for honoring us today with your presence. And will all of you please join me in welcoming the governor of our great state, the Honorable Scott Walker.
Thank you. Well, it's good to be back. I've actually stood at this spot before and talked about tourism. So today it's kind of exciting to talk about higher education and workforce development and healthcare. Appreciate all the visitors, but particularly the students who are out joining with us here today. I've got a son who's a freshman in college and another son who's a senior in high school, so I can relate to the very issues you talked about, not only as a governor, but as a parent. And soon to be a parent with 2 sons in college these days, and so I can appreciate not only all the students, but your families and your parents who help hopefully along the way as well as the state and other sources. I acknowledge as well all the folks that were introduced. I also see one other State Representative Andre Jock I see here as well, a member of the state legislature. Thank you, Andre, for being here, and thank all of our partners. This is probably, I was saying as we came in, probably the most excitement, the biggest thing that we've seen here in Brown County since last Wednesday. And that was when Mayor Schmidt and I were over with Donald Driver. My youngest son came up. For all of you who are Packer fans, you can appreciate this. Alex, who's a senior in high school, squeezed into the first jersey he bought as a 5th grader. It was really big when he got it, and it's too small now. But he squeezed into it just so that Donald Driver would sign the back of his jersey, and it was successful in doing that. But that was exciting in terms of the drama and the excitement over at the atrium in Lambeau Field. This is really exciting, not so much about celebrating something in the past, but rather looking forward. You see, today's announcement is part of an overall statewide big picture when we talk about workforce development. And for any of the individuals here who are employers, you all know, as I hear across the state, that one of the biggest challenges is not just about creating jobs, it's about making sure that we've got people with the skills needed to fill those jobs. It's what our colleges and our universities, both public and private, are all about, but it's also about helping folks not only in college or in our universities, but helping others, both those who are looking at other venues as well as those who maybe been in a career and now need a change of a career. We announced just yesterday a nearly $100 million package that does everything from workforce development grants to assistance for technical colleges to more work for a University of Wisconsin system, or more support, I should say, for the UW system when it comes to the flex degree option, which is exciting at all our campuses, but I know here at UWGB will be a big deal going forward. We think about engineering and healthcare and other areas. It helps us not only in our 2-year and our 4-year, but in today's announcement, it particularly helps us with the shortage we have in healthcare and the need that we have for our medical schools. As part of our announcement specifically, we're doing 2 significant grants and then a series of other things that tie into this. The first 2 that deal with physicians in this state deal with one program that's already existing and one program that will be started here and in Marathon County. The one that already exists is through the University of Wisconsin Medical School through what's called WARM and TRIUMPH. WARM is the Wisconsin Academy of Rural Medicine, as well as TRIUMPH, which is a version of that, which is training in urban medical education as well as public health. Both of those programs target needs for physicians in rural and highly impoverished areas. We're putting more money in to help train additional medical students in those areas. And then here, and I literally mean here, where the Medical College of Wisconsin, in collaboration with St. Norbert's and the greater Green Bay area, Brown County community, is helping put together, I think, one of the most dynamic new announcements we made, not just I've made, that we've made here in Wisconsin in quite some time. And that is a partnership to take the fine tradition, the Medical College of Wisconsin, which I know firsthand. My home is still in Wauwatosa. I live literally a few minutes from the Medical College. But the Medical College has a strong nationwide reputation of excellence that has grown proportionately over the last 2 or 3 decades in particular. But applying it and saying it's not just enough to train new physicians down at the main campus in Wauwatosa. It gives a unique opportunity in the north and northeastern Wisconsin, here and in Marathon County, to put forth a campus. And in our budget, we will put the capital money to help build the structures to put these new campuses in place, as well as the operating dollars to help go forward and train new physicians. And ultimately, we'll be at a point where we're looking at some 25 new physicians through each campus. When you look at the totality of all the announcements, you're talking about funding that will provide up to 60 new physicians between each of the programs that will be targeted, particularly in rural areas that have high needs when it comes to primary care physicians in particular. In addition to that, it's not just about training the physicians of tomorrow. It's also about ensuring that they stay here in Wisconsin. So on top of the money we're putting to create the new schools, the new campuses, as well as to provide the training, the education, the graduate education required to have great physicians in our state, we're also helping our rural campuses, our rural hospitals, with a series of things, one of which is putting together a pool of money for graduate medical education to provide for collaboration. Our goal is, we understand that to keep the individuals we train in medicine here in Wisconsin, we've got to get them plugged into Wisconsin hospitals. And so one of the key ways to do that is through residency programs, medical residency. But one of the key challenges, particularly in rural areas, is both the cost and the time that's consumed in doing that. And so in this proposal, we put a pool of money in there for hospitals to do collaborations with other hospitals. Our goal in this first wave of funding is to have 3 different collaborations that will take 5 hospitals each into those pools and allow them to get the resources they need to make sure that they're nationally accredited to have medical residents on site. In addition, we have another pool of money we're putting in place to provide a match for assistance for those hospitals to establish those medical residencies, particularly targeted in key areas of need in our rural areas. When it comes to primary care, we need more in family practice, we need more in pediatrics, we need more in psychiatry, we need more in internal medicine, we need more in general surgery. Those are the areas we're going to target for those residencies. So we want to train people, we want to help hospitals in rural areas get the residency programs they need in place, and then we want to make sure that we target those residency programs into the areas of the greatest needs when it comes to healthcare in the state. In addition, we know it's not only a shortage when it comes to physicians, but we know in particular when it comes to dental care, that we need to ensure that, particularly in rural areas, that along with access to high-trained medical professionals when it comes to doctors and others in our hospitals, that our communities have access to dental care. So we'll be partnering with our dental school at Marquette University in providing additional funding to provide additional students through the dental school, with again the target being our hopes that those are more professionals that stay here in the state of Wisconsin. Now, I'm announcing this as part of an overall package where we're helping people get connected to jobs, get the skills that they need to be connected to jobs. And whether it's somebody starting all the way in 6th grade, where we're going to provide with all of our school districts in the state of Wisconsin funding to put in place academic and career assessments so that our students in 6th grade and on start thinking about what they want to do and what they're interested in. And we've seen successful countries around the globe where they start that early and they start helping young people identify what their interests are. We want to plug people into those interests, knowing that people will change along the way. This doesn't mean that people can't ever change their mind, but our hopes are that the sooner we help young people identify what their career interests are, where their skill sets are, and how we can help them with that, the better we are going to be at placing people the skills they need to not only have a job, but to have a productive career. We're going to take that next step further when we do ACT testing for all of our students, not just college-bound, but through the ACT suite, where we provide assistance even for those that may not want to go on to a 4-year college or university experience, but through the career assessment can help them to see where their skill sets are at going forward and preparing for a 2-year college program, if that be the case, or some other option out there. We're providing $20 million to put in place for a combination of workforce development grants, as well as putting in place a new labor management information system. One of the challenges we have in the state with employers is that the data that we submit to the federal government, which is the data we'll continue to collect, but is data that operates on a 6-month lag time, really isn't very effective when our higher education institutions and other partners are trying to find ways to adapt to the needs that have been made apparent. It's kind of hard to do that when you lag by 6 months. And so we want to change that system, provide more real-time data. I know all the students here operate in a real-time world. I know my 2 sons certainly do when thinking about sometimes if I don't text them back within about 30 seconds, they think there's something wrong, that I'm ignoring them. We may not have our data quite that quickly, but that's the kind of world we operate in. And so if our technical colleges, if our higher education institutions, if our partners in workforce development are going to help us track the needs of our employers, it's got to be something that doesn't have a 6-month lag time. So we're going to operate on that right away. We're going to move forward with that. We're going to help with our UW Flex degree option program. We're going to help with overall with our colleges and universities in the state. We're essentially what we're trying to do is take the different reports from Diebold 2 and the Sullivan Commission and others out there and take all the different things they identified. They identified key industry clusters from manufacturing to information technology to healthcare, and to provide all throughout the spectrum ways of covering the needs that we have, whether it's in our K through 12 system, whether it's preparing as they come out of high school, whether it's in a 2-year program or a post-work program or a 4-year college program, or in this case with these partnerships I announced today, through a graduate program, through our medical and our dental schools. We're trying to make sure that Wisconsin above any other state in the country provides the most opportunities for people to be fully prepared to enter the workplace and pursue the career that he or she wants to do. If we do that, if we're successful, and I believe we will be, workforce development and the lack of enough people with the skill sets needed to fill the jobs that not just are ready today but will be ready in the years to come is a problem all across America. It's a problem all around the globe. With these announcements today and the others that are part of this larger plan of nearly $100 million, if we're able to successfully implement this, and I believe that we will be, this will put us on the forefront of economic recovery in this country. Because companies that are here and have jobs open today want to be able to fill them. Companies that are here that are looking to grow want to know that there's a steady supply of skilled workers. And companies that are outside of our borders today but that are looking at Wisconsin want to make sure, they want to be certain if they're going to come here, that if they do, they're going to have the kind of skilled workers they need to make their company successful and profitable and the kind of working environment that they want. We're going to show with this investment that that's exactly what they're going to get in the state of Wisconsin. So I couldn't be more thrilled today. This is an exciting announcement. This has been a lot of work in the making, and we were pleased to be able to do this in this budget. And I just want to add one more thing and then go around and say hi, and then I'll come down and talk to the press a little bit as well. But I really appreciate all students giving your attention here. I said, I think this is the only time I've sat in a place or stood in a place like this on campus where it's been that quiet for that long. So I'm pretty impressed. But for us, particularly thinking about the students here, I remember when I was running for governor in 2010, and I'd visited campuses around the state here and elsewhere, and sometimes students would say to me, why should I care about voting for you? What difference does it make? And, what are you going to talk to me about? And certainly, the financial assistance comes up, and tuition in our public institutions comes up, and other issues come up. But I said, probably the most important thing you can ask, not just of me, but of your elected officials, is not just what we're going to do for you now, but most importantly, what are we going to do to create an environment where if you're a senior come this next summer into the fall, or if you're a junior the year after, or sophomore year after that, or whatever year you might be graduating and looking to enter into the workforce, what are we going to do to make sure you live in a state, and you can stay in a state, where there's not just jobs available, but there's careers in the areas that you studied in, that you're interested in, that you're excited to be in. What are we going to do to make sure that that's more readily available? And I think what we're announcing here today, as well as some of our other initiatives coming up between now and the 20th of February, are going to show that this is exactly the place that you should be in. And the good news is we can afford to invest in these priorities. 2 years ago, and not everybody here might have agreed with everything we did in the last budget, but 2 years ago we had a $3.6 billion budget deficit. Today, because of tough but prudent decisions that helped us not only balance our state budget, but helped our partners at the local level do more to balance their budgets. Today, we have nearly a $500 million surplus this year. In the next 2 years of our budget, we have projected revenue growth. That means we can invest it in things exactly like this because we made tough decisions, we stood by them. In the end, they paid off with a better economy, a better budget, and now we can focus on our priorities that move the state forward. So thank you for hosting us. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for the